Hello again, my name is Ernest Mino. Let's settle for the details now. A political marketing strategist at the University of Ghana Business School has said John Mahama's running mate will give the vice president a run for his money on the campaign platform. Dr. Kobe Mensah said the task at hand for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to outdo Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman may be a tall order. Well, let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Dr. Kobe Mensah. He joins us for some more on this. Thank you very much, Doc, for your time here on News Desk. You are saying that Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman will give Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia a run for his money. How is that? This is a man who has been tried and tested. We know his political acumen now, and we're now seeing the good professor now, if you want, announcing herself on a major political platform at a higher level. How would that happen?
Okay, thank you. If you look at the delivery of Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman yesterday from various angles, obviously, if you look at the tone and pace of her speech, if you look at her posture, if you look at her expressions, and of course, if you look at the issues that she touched on, I mean, from all these grounds, from all these frameworks that I've told you, you could actually immediately come to terms with the kind of personality you're going to have on the campaign trail. And especially even if it comes to one-to-one matchup that we've been used to, like the debate, for example, you could immediately appreciate the kind of candidate that you're actually dealing with. I mean, first of all, look at her posture. I mean, she certainly, strikes you as someone who really would not be an underdog. I mean, the way that she started off her speech from a very calm, kind of posture to a much more aggressive tone, towards the end of it, when she started talking about issues of identity, citizenship, claim to, exceptionalism that is in the system, and many other points or pointers that she actually touched on. You could really sense that this is a candidate that has, a calm, demeanor, that has a temperament that is very calm, but also can be very, very tough and aggressive if you take the ball to her court. So she wouldn't be the kind of person that people thought that Bawumia could actually run over. So that's why I said that Bawumia really has something, to deal with, because, if you look at the previous, 2016, he took the ball to, Mr. of blessed memory. He was very calm and said that he was not going to respond to that, kind of battle, so to speak. We didn't get that sense from this lady yesterday. I mean, you could see the fierceness in her speech towards the end of it, and that's why I said that Bawumia really has something to do with.
And that will be interesting, because the signals we are getting is that she is not going to be the shade-throwing type. She's not going to be the hard political type. Going to give us a very decent campaign. Will speak to the masses, the middle class. And so to make that comment or that point about she giving Dr. Bawumia a run for her money on the very fierce political platform, that is something that is quite difficult to take, Dr. Mensah.
Don't forget, the campaign is for various targets. Obviously, there's a moment where you have to arouse your base. You have to actually let the base be energized. There were questions whether she could actually energize the base. And I think yesterday she said that she proved that she could really energize the base. And you see, the base want to see you take the fight to the opponent. That's one. Of course, the middle ground, or what we call the undecided, or the floating voters, sometimes want to see a measured person. Of course, she demonstrated that yesterday. And don't forget, the campaign is dynamic. You can predetermine that this is how you want to run the campaign. But your opponent or your opposing camp could actually call you up to certain issues, and you're supposed to show mettle. You're supposed to show grit, and you're supposed to show that ability to transition from a very calm nature to a very aggressive one, if the need be. And so I think that the idea that, yes, she will appeal to middle class, obviously she's a middle class herself, but the idea that she would be someone that would be called on and she may not be responding, I doubt it, because from yesterday, you could actually feel that sense of aggression from her in the latter part of the campaign, especially when she touched on nervy issues like citizenship, identity, opportunities for everybody. I think she was fierce, she was tough, and I think that was really required to prove others wrong.
And on the substance of her speech yesterday, a lot of us were looking forward to some major policy statements. You read across and it appears we didn't really get that. Would you agree with those? Yes, she talked about representing women, making sure that their views are at the decision-making table and all of that. But in terms of policies, what she's desperately or passionately going to pursue, we didn't get that. Would you agree with people who say that aspect was missing?
I'm surprised people were expecting policy pronouncement from a VP pick. I mean, it doesn't work that way. You know, the VP pick doesn't make policy pronouncement. The VP pick, in most cases, you know, to a very large extent, can lay out the campaign issues, some of the campaign messages, which she did. But you were not going to expect a VP pick to make policy pronouncement. And of course, what's the job of the ticket, the head of the ticket? So policy pronouncement, I don't know who actually thought that it would be wise for a VP pick to actually make policy pronouncement. That is not the norm, as we know, in political circles or in campaigns. VP pick would always actually talk about some of the issues that the candidate had already said before, reinforce them, bring certain other perspectives. So if you say that perhaps we're going to look at her stand on some of the key policy issues that Mahama had actually articulated, that's fair enough. But for you to think that a VP pick was going to make a policy pronouncement, I think that's naivety. So for me, I wasn't expecting policy pronouncement for her. Much as I was expecting was actually the campaign message, which to a large extent she did touch on some narrow issues. I'm sure some of these issues actually meant a lot to herself. The issues about opportunities for everybody, the issues about identity, citizenship, the idea that people have abrogated to themselves exceptionalism in this country. These are pertinent campaign messages, which I think she touched on. There are nervy issues currently in our country. The idea that some people think that their descendants are the ones who shape the political system or the socio-economic system of this country is bad. And it is not something that we should actually tolerate. And for me in person, I think that majority of people can also lay claim to their ancestors having contributed to the making of this country, which she made that point, and link that to the idea of identity and citizenship, that no one should be made to think that they are less Ghanaian than others. Fantastic point. So I was not expecting policy pronouncement from her. If you did, I'm surprised that was the case.
She has a constituency to reach out to, mainly women, and because of where she comes from, the coastal line is very much important. How do you expect her to position herself and couch her messages to be able to make much of it when it comes to those areas?
I think that is obvious. I mean, the demographics are obvious to see. Gender, of course. But of course, I think the candidacy actually goes beyond gender, which both the flag bearer and herself actually articulated extensively well. You pick up, a gender, I mean, political identity, and I've said it several times that when we refer to, the female gender, we're talking about, the minority, although they're a majority in the system. But of course, in terms of representation, in terms of opportunities, in terms of inclusion, diversity, we always use the female gender as a representation of the less, represented, of the, the excluded in society, of the less opportune, people who have opportunities in society, of the disabilities in society, of the youth in society. And that's what the female gender actually represents. And so that's much more broader than the debate or the discussion that she's appealing to women. I think that people must be a lot more rigorous in their perspective when it comes to what the candidates actually expect. And I would be surprised if the NDC themselves, in their communication, would limit her candidacy to the definition of, female. I think that is really, not the case. And of course, the candidate and then the vice candidate herself actually expressed that, broadly, define the scope, broadly.
Very well.
So, yeah.
Dr. Mensah, thank you very much. If you could just hold the line for me. Let's go to Zoom now and speak to the head of the Center for Public Discourse Analysis and also a political communications analyst, Dr. H.A. Sikangu. Thank you very much for your time here on News Desk. I saw you wrote a bit of the commentary on her speech yesterday. You were much excited about the use of colloquialism, which I think was brilliantly done. But is this a speech that will be remembered?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, first of all, thank you very much, Ernest. But yeah, to speak directly to the question, you look at a speech like this, and the function of the introductory speech, normally the function of it is to introduce the candidate to the audience, is to paint a certain or frame a certain persona or image of the candidate, the VP candidate, to the audience. Is this a speech that will be remembered? Of course. I think there are several takeaway points or quotes from the speech that people will remember. If you compare that to another vice presidential candidate somewhere else, Sarah Palin, when she was introduced, she went on there and gave a very powerful knockout speech, which propelled her presidential candidate, John McCain, to the front of the poll. So at least gave him some boost. So you look at a day like this, and you can see that she's very much aware of what the historical nature of her candidature. She says it's not just about opening the doors, but also holding those doors open to others. She talks about why we need to stop the system or the status quo as it is now, and she talks about why the time for change is now. So there are several of these quotes which are making the rounds on social media. Several of these quotes which are making the rounds on Facebook. She says no shaking and all of that. So I think in terms of the speech being its place in history, I think there's no doubt that she knocked that out of the park.
Do you think she fell for the temptation of being an impressionist because of the hype and the times in which we are and all that has been said about her? Did she fall for that, or she was just herself?
Yeah, so the pressure is always there. The pressure is always there on a day like this. And if you look at Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, the thing about it is that every candidate comes with their strengths and with their weaknesses. I mean, we all do, even naturally in life. So one of the things that really goes for her is that people do not see her as part of the daily banter, somebody involved in the daily banter of politics. Although she was in the Mahama administration, she came into the administration as a political outsider, sort of. Now she's not a full outsider because she's been in there for some time, but most of her persona is seen through the lens of an academic, somebody who has achieved stuff in the professional world and came into politics to serve. So you cannot ascribe to her the same political skills, the same political experience, the same political intuition, or sagacity, or propensity, or that natural intuitive political skill that a lifelong politician has. And that cuts both positively and negatively. Characterologically, biographically, professionally, she is there. She is right there. In terms of her character, in terms of her biography, in terms of her profession, she's there. But politically, I think there's a bit of lacking over there. She has never run for political office. She does not have a political constituency. We do not know how she's going to look on the campaign stump. We do not know how she's going to connect with the grassroots. We do not know if she's going to rouse the audience, a grassroots, or how she's going to rouse the crowd and all of that. I even argue that the COVID-19 is sort of a blessing in disguise because she does better in the sort of controlled workshop, conference, kind of forum setup. She really does well in those particular settings. So there is always that question to be answered, how this is going to play out in the frenzy and in the rubble, in the frenzy of a typical campaign rally. And so there was always that thing that people were looking out for. If you ask me about her ability to impress, people were looking out for that. Her oratory, her natural connection to the voters, the charisma. What is that there? So there was always that temptation. There was always that particular factor that people were looking out for yesterday, because we already know about her professional experience, and I mean, very, very impressive.
Did you find that? Did you find that the charisma you're talking about? Because some people have said that she's not really a speech person, and that perhaps she would have done better doing an extempore with a few notes. Because there are some videos of her online, and you watch her speak very brilliantly. Some have said that perhaps the speech and perhaps the use of a teleprompter did not bring out that person in her. Would you agree?
Yeah, so I was just coming to that. So people really were looking out for that. And what I would say is that because there is the principles of the VP, one of the things that you look at, the rules of the VP theoretically, is that he or she needs to be out there to support the president in terms of being a fierce, vociferous defender of the president, what they like to call an attack dog. But I normally don't like to use that term here because people think it's about insulting people. But when you say attack dog, it's not necessarily insulting people or using bad. It just means that you want to go out there and be that advocate for the president in a very fierce and passionate manner. Now, that is one thing that I'm sure a lot of people will be looking at. For your question, did she do that? I think she resisted that temptation to be a partisan, to score political points. She refused that temptation to be somebody that she was not. She is not a Jerry Rawlings. I mean, neither is she your out and out charismatic candidate. But there's something called a quiet charisma. And I think former President John Mahama had that. John Kufuor had that. And so people called him the gentle giant. I think she has her own gentle charisma. And for me as a speaker, I was looking out for that. Was she comfortable in her skin? Was she carving out her own rhetorical or communication skill or persona? I think she won on that score because she refused that temptation. She came out as a teacher. She was very explanatory. She was very expository. She was very conversational. She was not your fierce, fiery, charismatic political communicator. But she played to her strength, which was a lecture format. She's explaining. She's conversing with you. And once you do that, people begin to also feel comfortable with you because you, the candidate, you are comfortable in your own skin. So you see that as the speech wore on, she grew in stature with the speech. And I think that is a winner for her because immediately she plays on her own turf rather than on the normal partisan political turf. And so as far as that is concerned, I think she won over there and she endeared herself to people. And she has definitely succeeded in carving out her own track for herself.
Let me go on to the phone lines quickly and get this from Dr. Kobe Mensah. Let us shift slightly to look at the chemistry between John Mahama and Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Did you find that yesterday, especially when he had to introduce Professor Opoku-Agyeman? In his speech, he said something quite interesting, that working with Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, I have no doubt that God will be kind to us come December 7. Now, is that for you? You know, will that sort of epitomize the sort of chemistry and confidence that John Mahama has in Professor Opoku-Agyeman? Well, we seem to have lost Dr. Kobe Mensah on the line. Let me ask you, Dr. Echezika-Anku, on the chemistry, the issue of the chemistry between the two, what will be your commentary on that?
Oh, for that, I actually think that is one of the areas that is 400%, because you see there are certain principles when it comes to the VP. One of them is that they have to complement you. The other one is that there has to be a good chemistry. The third one is that they have to make up for your weaknesses. The fourth one is that people choose some of them in order to address a certain demographic gap. So whether ethnic, tribal, religious, gender, or age demographic. If you have an old, very old candidate, they would like to choose a younger person. If you have a male candidate, they would like to choose a female candidate. If you have somebody from the south or from the north, they would like to choose somebody from the south, and all of that. So chemistry is one of the things to look out for. In fact, one of the reasons why Barack Obama never chose Hillary Clinton was because he felt that they didn't have total chemistry and that Hillary would challenge her sometimes. And she didn't want two presidents in the White House at the same time. Somebody who come and challenge you and want to be president. And we know we have our own history with that in Ghana.
Yeah, and as we wrap up on this, Doc, on a scale of 1 to 10, what will be the ratings of her presentation yesterday?
Oh, Ernest, you will not even let me finish my point. You see, and you want me to also rate it as well. But I think they have great chemistry. I think they have great chemistry, and that was probably one of the things that John Mahama looked out for. On a scale of 1 to 10, or if I was supposed to rate this, I think it's up there. It's A minus A. I think it's up there as one of those great speeches, and we'll only wait to see how that pans out later.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. H.A. Sikanku. He is the head of the Center for Public Discourse Analysis and also a political communication analyst, joining us for some analysis on the event we had yesterday. But still on Professor Opoku-Agyeman, she has this morning been thanking God for her appointment. Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins us live with some details. Parker, where are you and what can you report from where you are?
To talk about the economy. The Sun says that even this morning in the newspapers, it is your candidate, John Mahama, who was taking the shine out of her last night presentation, but she was the main focus of the last night.
Our candidate, President John Dramani Mahama, is the one whose name will be on the ballot. He is leading the ticket. The strategy was that he speaks to the policy issues, and then Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman does what she has done all her life, what she is good at. She comes in to introduce herself, inspire us to reach out to the youth, and to touch on the essentials. Because you see, all the policy issues that the flag bearer put forward, if you don't have a united country, you don't have a peaceful country, you don't have a country that is tolerant of each other, that is an oasis of peace, you cannot pursue those policies. So that's the strategy. The flag bearer does the hardcore policy issues, and then she talks about the Ghana that should be, what the vision is, and where we should get to. And remember that she is a mother, she is a professor, she has been vice chancellor, she is a technocrat. So she is not your typical hardcore politician. So if you go and give her an assignment which is out of character, people will be disappointed, and people will say, look, you are pretending. You are trying to be what you are not.
She didn't want to pretend.
So she just wants to be herself, and in this campaign you are going to see her be herself. She is not going to be pretentious. She is not going to be what she is not. She is going to make sure that at the end of the day, she touches on the things that matter to the people, the bread and butter issue. Look, when you say she didn't talk about the economy, she did talk about how this economy is struggling, how we must put the economy on the right footing, how we must make sure that we reward meritocracy, do away with the phenomenon of whom you know, and create opportunities for everybody. That is what the Ghanaian youth are looking for. Opportunities for all, not just a few, not just those who are connected. And to me, those are the fundamental. Look, she wants to address the fundamentals. What has been holding us back? Not that you come give hardcore policy issues that are just for your select few, your party members, your foot soldiers. That is not what the professor sought to do. And it's important that people appreciate this speech. It was a very beautiful speech. I have followed a lot of speeches, a lot of running mate addresses, the major platforms across the country. And this is a speech that you will call rousing, that you will call inspiring. And I can tell you that the rank and file of our party inspired a lot of women, a lot of young people. They see, and you see, she did not posture. She didn't present herself as some special being. She presented herself as the everyday person, downtrodden. You can come to me. I am there for you. I am your voice in this government. I'll be a vice president that remembers the reality on the ground and what the average Joe is confronted with, what the ordinary Ama is facing on a daily basis.
So that will be her posture.
That is what she brings to the ticket, and you should expect more of this. She will be a unifier. She will be somebody who will bring the country together. She is going to be a healer. She is not going to be somebody who addresses, and after she finishes, there's a section of Ghanaians who feel so hurt, who feel so angry, who want to throw a punch. No, that is not what she's going to do in this campaign.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Very grateful.
You're welcome. Very fine.
And so that is my colleague Christy Parker-Wilson there speaking to Okujeto Ablakwa, former Deputy Education Minister, who is also at a church service held for Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, thanking God for her outdooring yesterday, but also her nomination for the position of a running mate or vice presidential candidate. Parker is still there. We'll bring you some more on what happened at the church service there.
The Upper East Region town of Boko is believed to be one of the fastest developing towns in northern Ghana. Development here suffered some setbacks in the past due to the chieftaincy conflict that started in January 2008 and continued to spring up from time to time for many years after that. But today, peace has returned to Boko, and the proximity of the municipality to Togo and Burkina Faso has contributed to making this area a business hub. In fact, many believe that cost of living here in Boko is lower compared to other parts of the Upper East region.
At first, Boko, we can enter curfew 2 hours, 3 hours, 12 hours. It came to a time that a full 24 hours, we have to be in the room. Now, I believe with those particular group of people that were engaged in the fighting, now understanding has come and everything is moving onward.
For a constituency with a population of almost 120,000 people, the demand for development is also high. The current MPP government believes that it has done enough in the last 4 years to better the lives of the people of the Boko constituency. Key among these is the continuation of the Bolgatanga-Boko Pulmakum Road project, which was started by the John Mahama administration. Joy News checks show that several portions of the road are now tarred, while work is progressing fast on the other portions. Upper East Regional Minister Tangoba Abayagi shed small light on the extent of work done so far on the Bolgatanga-Boko Pulmakum Road.
The last time I visited the road on inspection with the road minister, the consultant indicated that they had done 40% completed 40%, ready to hand over. You know, the thing about massive road infrastructure is that as and when you complete a certain percentage, you hand over, because as you are working, commuters are using. So the time we visited, which was in June, early June, they had done 40% and waiting to hand over. Between then and now, we are almost at the end of July. I've traveled on it, and I will like to think that they might have added about 5% complete to what, so that would be about 45%. Well, I'm not a technical person, but what I saw is what I'm saying. So we are talking about 45% complete.
So, can work on this road be completed before the end of this year?
They are going to change 2 bridges. The one right after Bolga, and then the right, the one in Tilly. Apart from that, the other 2 bridges are good to go. So they're just going to work on the roads, and then that is it. I am very certain that they will enter Boku and then work on Boku and then finish it. They gave us up to the 22 months. The road is not supposed to be completed 100% this year, because from Boku to Polmankom is another stretch. Virgin land, nothing has ever been done on it. That is another stretch that is going to take another time. So once we complete Boku, the next phase will be from Boku to Polmankom, and that we are hoping will be completed next year.
In addition to the Bolgatanga-Boku-Polmankom road, the MPP government has continued with work on the Tamne Bridge located in the Garu-Timpani district, with the aim of linking the people on the other side of the Tamne Valley to the rest of the eastern part of the Upper East region, which includes Boku, Garu, Timpani, Pusiga, and Binduri.
We have 5 Danida bridges being constructed in the region. Out of this, three of them are found in the Boku enclave. The Kulungungu Bridge, the Garu, the Tamni bridges. There are two small bridges are there. We are constructing a heavy-duty bridge at Mognori to connect Boku Township to Mognori and beyond. In fact, for those who know Mognori, Mognori is closer to the Burkina Faso border. In fact, they share borders together. And over the years, they've been virtually cut off because of just one single bridge. The government is constructing the bridge there, and once it is done, it is going to ease a lot of traffic on that stretch of road.
The Upper East Regional Minister says there are many other government projects and initiatives that she believes the people of the Boku constituency will appreciate the current government for.
We have the almighty free senior high school. Every family in this country, including families in Boku and its enclave, are enjoying the free senior high school project. Across this region, the farmers in this region that benefit more from planting for food and jobs are those from the Boku area. The quantity of fertilizer that goes into those areas, because a lot of them are farmers. And then we have the almighty NAPCO.
But what do the ordinary citizens here in Boku think? Some of them spoke to Joy News.
Our main problem here is our roads. I will need something in the market to get up from my house and pick my motorbike, right and enter the market. The potholes, they are not even potholes. I think I will call them swimming pools, small ones also. In fact, it's not easy.
Business is not moving well because the town road is bad. We don't get customers because we no longer have tourists coming. Also here in the market, when it rains, the place becomes filthy and we can't even find a place to sit and sell our goods. We are traders. We sell cassava, plantain and many other produce. But because of the coronavirus, our goods are not being patronized. The roads here are terrible. We do not have shelter here in the market. When it rains, we don't have a place for cover.
For the youth of Boku, peace has returned to the area, but things are far from being rosy.
On behalf of all drivers and YOLO drivers, especially the popular name is Praja, Mama Kandu, we have different names given to it. Boku, the youth, are using that sort of means for earning of living. Before you move from the township, the central of Boku, to a nearby place where you can even carry a passenger with a load of 5 cedi, I'm telling you, you may go and come, and the amount you are going to spend on repairing the motor will cost you 50 Ghana cedis or 100 Ghana cedis. So we are appealing to the government to try his possible best. The poor nature of the road network in Boku Township alone is a very big headache to the drivers in town, especially those who are driving the tricycles.
The major issue in our municipality is our roads. our township roads. It has deteriorated in such a way that it's very bad. So as Youth Parliament, we decided that we should petition the government so that at least the government will know what the people want and also come to our aid.
The thing about bitumen and potholes in the rainy season is that, especially the Boko township roads, when it's raining and the potholes are that deep, it is difficult to put bitumen because you are not sure whether the rains will come in that very day after you, and rains are unpredictable. You can't stop them. Unfortunately, the district can also not do the patching because of the rains. You can't do patching during the rains. The worst case scenario would be just to use a grader, come and remove the bitumen, and then that is not also the best option for now. So I know, as I said, I traveled on it just myself recently, and it's very uncomfortable moving through town. But we will request that once the contractors are to move into Boku, we have a little bit of patience with them, so that they will take their time, do the right thing, and then do the best road infrastructure for us in the region.
The Joy ballot box is coming to the Boko Central constituency, and the people here are eagerly waiting for that opportunity to engage their duty bearers face to face.
Hello everyone, welcome to Business. I am Sandra ESINAM AFENU. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has kept its policy rate unchanged at 14.5%. Speaking at a virtual conference, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, cited growth concerns as reason for its decision.
While government stimulus packages for various sectors of the economy, including micro, small, and medium-term enterprises, is in the right direction to boost economic activity, the committee's view was that going forward, the 2021 budget should be focused on instituting measures to return the fiscal consolidation path with a view to building resilience and strengthening the pillars of the economy for a return to stability. The Bank of Ghana's latest forecast shows that inflation is currently above its upper limit, driven mostly by food prices. Adjusting for the unusual noise in the food inflation, the indications are that underlying inflationary pressures are stable. The bank projects a return of inflation to the medium-term target band by the second quarter of 2021, conditional on corrective fiscal measures being introduced in the near term. The committee was of the view that the current extraordinary circumstances, with a widened budget deficit and residual financing gap, would require some monetary restraint to preserve the anchors of monetary and macroeconomic stability. In the circumstances, the committee decided to maintain the policy rate at 14.5%.
Away from the policy rate, small-scale miners in the central region are calling for a reviewed strategy to combat alluvial mining. They say investments in the fight against the menace is yet to yield desired result due to defiance of recalcitrant dredgers. The Small-Scale Miners Association say offenders return within weeks of any operation to flush them out of their river bodies. Here's a report by Nanaya Ojima.
Miners here, together with national leadership, formed a task force to deal with dredges on the AFENU River. They worked under the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, led by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. Despite several operations to save the country's water bodies, quality continues to deteriorate since dredgers refuse to give up. Mr. Ayeke says government will have to improve its support for the task force to augment the association's efforts.
We should be doing the operation frequently. If you do it today, maybe next 2 weeks before you come, or 1 month, 6 months, before you come, they will come back to the water bodies. So we need a constant operation to get rid of them from the water bodies.
How do you think this can be made possible, the constant operations of the river?
Constant operation can be possible when we have the logistics and the money, the funds. Though some of our big men have been sponsoring us, especially Professor Frimpong has been helping us somewhere along the line. The small-scale miners, the leaders, the executives, they have been supporting us. But still, it is not enough.
River often has lost its drinking quality due to dredging of the waterbed for gold. Communities here who relied on the water now can use it only for other activities. Continued dredging has widened the course of the river and increased flood rates.
She says, we use it for domestic activities aside cooking and drinking. This is an extension of the river, but often itself, we can't fetch it because it's too dirty. We are not to blame. These people are settlers. If you call for their arrest, other people will attack you.
Now, a renewed exercise by the Central Region has resulted in destruction of over 100 champagne boats in 4 days. Leader of the team, Bracey Ando, believes with the necessary equipment, they stand a chance of winning the war.
We stopped because of our vehicles and our equipment. We don't have equipment that we will use. So we are pleading that if the boat comes, we will work very hard. You can see this boat. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to somebody. And we just went and begged the person so that he will give us the boat. Without boat, you cannot work on this river.
From Dunkwao in the Central Region for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
And before I go, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, says his next administration will pay customers of all collapsed financial institutions their locked-up funds. Speaking at the outdooring of the party's running mate, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, Mr. Mahama promised to make these payments within the first year of his government when elected. I'll be bringing you that story later in business. And that's all for now. I am SANDRA, ESINAM AFENU. Thanks so much for watching.
And it's now time for the latest in the world of sports. George Ado Jr. is here. Good morning, George.
Good morning to you, Ernest. I hope you're good.
I'm fine. Yourself?
Yeah, you're definitely looking good. And so I'm
Thank
sure
you
we can
very
just
much.
get into the analysis and talk about what we've got, because we've seen a less controversial award being handed over to Jurgen Klopp, and I think it's good. We talk about the League Managers Association, and they have come up with their manager of the season, and they went for Jurgen Klopp, who won the title for Liverpool after 30 years. This is pretty straightforward, isn't it?
I don't know, but what are the indicators? Just because you won the league makes you... Well, that is a good point in itself, not to downplay it.
It's a very good point.
But
and again,
I'm just wondering...
Yeah, it's a very good point. And again, if you look at the work that he has done at Liverpool over the years, it's been really, really good. He's won the Champions League. Remember, the defending champions of the UEFA Champions League. And then he's managed to win the league, and in some style, with 7 games to spare. So to an extent, you could say that, yeah, I think that Klopp has done well. Not to forget the other managers who have done well as well. I think Sheffield United, coming straight from the Championship to the Premier League and doing very well. They gave all the big guys.
So this is just for the season, right?
It's just for the season, yes.
Okay,
so once he's won it, and we had quite a number of records in that, I think it was good. But I thought Jose Mourinho tried as well, picked Tottenham's 14th, finished 6th.
Do we know if
Lampard
others were up for consideration?
Well, yeah, everybody was up for consideration, definitely, because Frank Lampard as well has done well with Chelsea, finished in 4th, despite all the problems, the transfer ban and all. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to an extent, yes. Look at how Manchester United rallied after the restart of the Premier League due to COVID-19 and to finish 3rd. So there were some options, but I felt that they decided to go for Jurgen Klopp because of the fact that he helped Liverpool to win the title, and they did that in some fashion with 7 games to spare. So yeah,
it's quite a good season, a good time for Liverpool, because that's not all. There's another one coming up.
There's another award
which you're likely to grab.
That's the PFA award. That's the Players, Association. They are now going to decide. Players are going to vote who the best player is.
So the one he won,
one we spoke about before, was the Football Writers Award, Football Writers Association Award, the FWA award. That's what was won by Jordan Henderson. And Kevin De Bruyne missed out, and a lot of people say, "Oh, come on, how does this happen?" So now we'll have to find out what happens with the.
And he's up for this one as well.
Definitely, I think Jordan Henderson will be up for this one. But I think that amongst Liverpool fans, they've said that Sadio Mane has been the best player this season.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So if Sadio Mane is your best player this season and you have won the trophy, then it should go the way of Sadio Mane. But it's complicated, these things, because I've told you, I don't think I will be. I mean, no matter how patriotic you want to be, no matter how supportive you want to be, you know, you just want to be absolutely objective.
The facts are the facts.
Yeah, the facts are the facts, and there's still a bit of, you know, some subjective voting that will come into this one. I'm sure about it. So you not often get a Liverpool captain voting for a Manchester United player, or a Manchester United captain voting
likely not happen.
Yeah, so it leaves room. But clearly, if you're a good player, if you're the best player, you should go up. I remember when Kante won it, he didn't score so many goals. So it will be interesting if Jordan Henderson gets to win this one as well. But you look at the statistics, Kevin De Bruyne broke a record, leveled up the record of Thierry Henry in terms of assists. He's done very well this season, scored close to 11 goals in the process. So it should be a tight one. I think it's going to be
I have a feeling he's going to take this one as well. You know, winning the other one puts him in a position to
it means on the good side of the journalist. But this time the players are going to vote. I won't be surprised if Sadio Mane wins it. And I'll be more surprised if Kevin De Bruyne wins it. But I think it's going to be for a Liverpool
and that'll be a double for him and more controversy. But he would have won it anyway.
Yeah, I think that the Football Rights Association award is okay. Someone else must win the PFL.
Look at George.
If it happens.
Look at George. Thank you very much, George, for bringing us the latest in the world of sports. That'll be all for our show today. Many thanks for your company. You can log on to myjournline.com. You'll find more stories. I'm Ernest Min. I'm back at midday with more news. Stay there.